Yes, folks, hello, welcome once again to Modern Games and Collectibles. I'm Chris, this is my channel. Absolute pleasure to have you with me here today. And folks, there's a little bit of news coming out of the Nuremburg Toy Fair around the Mattel DC license and the first salvo of offering that they're going to be putting out under the new licensing agreement. So let's take a look at what's been released, talk about what it means for us as adult collectors, which is a big part of the narrative here, and just add some commentary. So let's get into it. So I did a video just a couple of weeks ago around some leaks regarding the Mattel DC license and upcoming upcoming product under the new license. At that time, the leaks have said that there was going to be a 6.5-inch action figure line with some core characters that they listed: Batman, Joker, Robin, targeted following the same WWE release model where you've got what do they call it? The basic line, the main event, and then later down the line, sort of collectors, Elite Collection and Ultimate Edition stuff, coming later. McFarlane's still got the license until the close of the year. But then, around and about on the socials, a bit earlier on today, a poster from the Nuremburg Toy Fair started to do the rounds. Here it is, ladies and gents. Here's the poster that's been doing the rounds. DC Mattel, new legends rise. Mattel reimagines the DC toy line, coming fall 26. And as you can see here on the poster, we've got a Deathstroke, we've got a Joker, we've got a Batman, a Robin, a Flash. The Joker, Batman, Robin, and the Flash, of course, were the named characters in the leak list that went out that I did my previous video on. John Stewart Green Lantern, a more modern-looking Batman there, and then a Superman as well. Now, we'll circle back around to this picture in a minute to dissect some of the information on there, but I feel it's important we take a look at the Mattel marketing manager's comments on Instagram where he posted this picture. So, Action Figure Attack here is a marketing manager, a brand manager for action figure lines, and as you can see, he's added some commentary so that we can better understand what we're looking at in the poster. Nuremburg Toy Fair is underway and brings us the new Mattel DC core figures product reveal. These 6.5-inch figures, scaled to live with some of your favourite lines, are kid-focused, bracket with collector appeal, of course, close bracket, and feature some great accessories along with excellent articulation like double-jointed knees and thigh swivel for amazing action poses, all at a low price point. Look out for these later this year. Collector product is on the way in January of 2027 with a first look at those figures closer to release. Stay tuned. So, lots of information there. I have to admit, when the picture, that original picture, which we'll circle back around to in a minute, started doing the rounds, I was watching people in the comments on Instagram and on Reddit and Facebook and stuff like, oh, it looks like a bag of shit, looks like kids' toys. Because it is kids' toys. And folks hadn't even on this very Instagram post by the brand manager where he says, kid-focused, people were commenting like, oh, where's the double elbows and no ab crunch? And he's like, yeah, this is the child's line. This is the budget child's line. So to be very clear, they absolutely are following the WWE model where they had the main event stuff, which tends to retail for about a tenner. I don't know how much it is in North America. Then you got your Elite Collection, which is like your collector grade stuff, which is your sort of 20 to 25 quid. And then your Ultimate Edition, which is like your 30 to 35 quid. Big shout out to commenter JH Remix Official. I think I've remembered that correctly, who was much more familiar with the WWE lines and commented on my last post and pointed me in the right direction for my research around understanding these kind of tiers in the WWE space. So what we saw today, lines up with my expectations, but apparently, obviously there's folks that aren't as heavily plugged in or watching with as much interest as I am, and so they missed the point on it altogether. But anyway, let's circle back round and take a look at what we got. So a couple of things that are interesting to me about this, particularly when you consider that this is the kid-focused, budget-friendly line that they're coming out with as their initial salvo of products. In fact, I saw some comments around saying they've got a panel or a talk or something coming up in the coming days at the Nuremburg Toy Fair, so maybe more information will leak out off the back of that around things like price point and what have you. But a couple of things that stood out to me. If this is the kid-focused budget line, then it fills me with some hope, some small hopeful confidence in terms of the direction of travel for the more collector-focused lines. If we kind of zoom in on these now and take a look, you can see the sort of colour palette, the paint schemes are a bit more toyetic, a bit more kind of plasticky in that kid toy style. But the articulation, to have double knees, thigh swivels, arm articulation at the shoulders, and like if you look at that Batman and that Robin and the Flash and stuff, they've got quite a bit of posing out of, quite a limited selection of articulation there. This doesn't have ab crunch, doesn't appear to have butterfly joints, doesn't appear to have double elbows at the on the arms. I was about to say double jointed elbows at the elbows. But then, look at that Robin and the Flash, they're getting some decent posing out of that there, which fills me with confidence that if this is how the budget line is going to look, then maybe, just maybe, we're going to be seeing some really interesting and exciting things when it comes to the Elite Collection or the Ultimate Collector's line or whatever they end up calling it. I am a little, about the waist cut. I don't like those. I tolerate them on Marvel Legends just about, but I'm not a fan. I much prefer a kind of ball-jointed waist on my figures. I would hope that that's not an element that carries on into the more adult-focused collector lines. But, look at that Batman there. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that with the cape on this, on the budget line, but it'd be interesting to see what the script is with the cape there, if he's got it kind of wafting up behind him. But there's some decent kind of posing going on out of the limited articulation, which makes me think that we're going to see some good stuff going on when it comes to the adult collector lines. It's encouraging, it's an encouraging picture. And that, as your price point increases, you can see some potentially good stuff going on when it comes to the paint applications and the depth of the paint and quality of the paint applications. What you can't really tell from this, and you probably won't be able to tell when you have them in hand, is as they come to the adult collector lines, where our depth is going to be, where our texture details. There's certainly some sculpted stuff going on here. If you look at like the belts, like Batman's utility belt, Superman's belt, if I go back down to Deathstroke here, all his stuff is sculpted on, which is nice to see. Sculpted boots. Big fan of that. Sculpted boots on them. That's one thing that has always annoyed me about Marvel Legends is painting things like boots and gloves on. And it looks like we're going to get sculpted boots and gloves on these guys here, which is nice to see. The musculature's pretty good for a kid-friendly budget line. I suppose you'd expect that from a company that's got a lot of experience of doing bare-chested muscles with a line like WWE. So I suppose you would expect that. It does say, with lots of accessories and stuff in the marketing manager's comments as well, and you can sort of see Deathstroke's got his sword, there's some sort of kind of batarangi thing in Robin's hand, so it's probably going to come with a few little bits and bobs as well. So in terms of like play factor for something that's being aimed at kids with some adult collector appeal, of course, open bracket, close bracket, I think there's there's some encouraging stuff in here for sure. Hey, I tell you what, one other thing is not lost on me, and I know it's certainly not lost on others. The choice of language in the marketing material here. New Legends Rise, Mattel reimagines DC toy lines. That's like taking pot shots at Hasbro and McFarlane Toys both at the same time. I love it. I love the. Well, surely that's intentional. And if it is, I'm all for it. I love that, like, kind of little bit of cheek in there. It's awesome. And, to be fair, even with the limited articulation, in terms of, if you wanted to do some DC versus Marvel photos and get it done on a budget in, fall, autumn 26, then these might actually fit in quite well with Marvel Legends. I'd be interested in seeing a closer look at the Superman and the John Stewart, the faces, the Joker, John Stewart, the maskless individuals there to get a sense of what's going on with the full face sculpt. You can't really tell. I think it looks all right-ish. That Joker face is interesting, isn't it? Looks kind of all right-ish. John Stewart there. Yeah, all right-ish, but not detailed enough for us to be able to kind of discern, again, an idea of the direction of travel in the first instance as to how good the face sculpts are on this budget-friendly line, but then what it might look like, the direction of travel into the more collector-focused line. in January 27. Obviously, as well, one thing I was encouraged by from the leaks was the comment that they were going to be focusing on evergreen designs, evergreen uniform designs. And that Deathstroke, for example, there is just straight out of Teen Titans, late 80s Teen Titans. Got a good classic Batman and Robin. That's looking Tim Drakey to me with the long trousers, which is good to see. Although wasn't his long trousers black? That looks like a good kind of classic pinky purpley suited Joker, the Green Lantern uniform. It's obviously there's two Batmans. Which I just think is a sad reality for DC toy collectors forever and ever now. It's going to be the state of things, isn't it? But after one of my main criticisms in my last video around Todd, and one of the lessons I said Mattel could learn could be one around character variety. The first glimpse we get at Mattel getting his fingers back on DC is two Batmans. Do you know what I mean? The evergreen classic look and the more kind of modernized look there. Tell you what else, no ladies. Where's the Wonder Woman? You know what I mean? You're showing us a Batman, you're showing us a Green Lantern, you're showing us a Flash, a Superman, no Wonder Woman. That's does my head in. What is this like version to doing the awesome DC female characters justice? I don't know. Anyway, anyone out there, WWE collector, care to comment down below and let me know what's Mattel's pedigree like with female wrestling characters? Do they do good? What's her name? Becky Lynch. Oh, and what's the name of the Florence Pugh played her in that wrestling film with the dude from Slow Horses in it? Can't remember her name. Anyway, I'm in the weeds. Wonder Woman is a notable absence there, but even aside from Wonder Woman and my desire to have kind of more female characters that I'm a fan of from the comic books in DC lines, even like two Batmen, and this poster could have had an Aquaman on it, a Martian Manhunter, a Green Arrow, Hawkman, Hawkgirl. I feel like they have enough sort of casual recognition that you could have done it. If you're putting Deathstroke on there, you could have thrown another villain in. Gorilla Grodd would have been fun, or Solomon Grundy or something, or Ra's al Ghul. I mean, he's all over the CW shows and the movies and that. So yeah, the fact that there's two Batmen on there and there's no female characters being shown is a little bit disappointing for sure. However, I think that's not an indicator. Again, talking about this direction of travel and how I feel this is encouraging for January 27 when we start seeing the adult collector focus stuff. I don't think it's an indicator that's they're not going to have female characters, or that we'll never see a Martian Manhunter or a quality Oliver Queen or whatever. It's just that I think for the first step out into the world to show what they're doing now, they've got their hands back on the DC license. Could have done with a Wonder Woman, or maybe not showing us two Batmen. But that's just I'm just seeing that very much from my own individual perspective. It is a little bit painful to hear that collector product is not on the way until January 2027, with a first look, closer to release. So, that sucks a bit. But we knew that was going to be the case. Or certainly those of us again who've been following this closely with interest knew that this was going to be the case. I mean, just look at the rate at which McFarlane is cranking out figures right now, just to milk those DC multiverse fans for every last dollar he can. Finally giving us good, female characters we wanted for years in the last ditch attempt to like really get his money's worth out of it. Fuck me, I'm so cynical about Todd McFarlane. It's ridiculous. That shouldn't be either, because they all fucking do it, don't they? A lot of them. But it's going to be a painful wait. It's going to be a painful wait. I think I had hoped. There was a small little bit of hope in me that idea of kid focused with collector appeal, to quote Action Figure Attack here directly, it was going to have just a little bit more collector appeal than we're seeing. But at the price point, if it matches the WWE main event price point of sort of a tenner, 12 quid or whatever, I might pick up one or two just for a cheeky little bit of man-child playtime, just to get hands-on, get a feel for them, see what they look like, closer in hand. If they are scaling all right with Marvel Legends, you could probably manipulate a half-decent photo to do some DC versus Marvel to tide us over in the 6-month period. I mean, for folks like me I've just completely, that's it, McFarlane done. My Guy Gardner was the last pre-order I had. Didn't make any further McFarlane pre-orders. I was done. I was, definitely, regulars around these parts know I said it. I was going to just sit and wait now until the Mattel stuff comes. In fact, I sold on a big chunk of my McFarlane toy stuff. It's a long wait. It's a long wait. Maybe we'll see. They're showing us this and they're expecting it to arrive in the autumn, so where are we now? January. It's like it could be a 9-month wait here. It's September time. The quote seems to imply that they're due for release in January 2027. Collector product is on the way in January of 2027 with a first look at those figures closer to release. Seems to imply that we're going to get some stuff. So it's still 12 months away, but maybe, these can tide us over in the meantime. However, getting back to my original point, I've spent like a lot of time just making one massive point. This is the Kid Focus budget line. But if that's what we're getting in the Kid Focus budget line, I find it very encouraging as to what we will be seeing, where Mattel are going to be going when they start eventually doing more adult collector focus stuff. I don't know, you might disagree. And if you do, I'd encourage you to head to the comments down below. So there we go, folks. That's what we got from the Nuremburg Toy Fair with regards to Mattel and DC and this new Legends Rise first salvo, Kid Focus budget line. As I said before, there might be some stuff leak out, further stuff leak out over the next couple of days from Nuremburg Toy Fair. It is a closed event. It's it's trade entry only, so it will probably just be leaks or something like we've seen today. There was a kind of sneak peek of what's going on at the Nuremburg Toy Fair. I don't know. But as I say, head to the comments down below. What are your thoughts? Do you like the look of them? Do you find them encouraging for the future of the adult collector focus stuff? Are you as impatient as I am and want the year just to fly by? It wouldn't be so bad if someone else was releasing some shit, would it? But, there we go. Let me know in the comments down below. Love getting into conversation with you down there. In the meantime, thanks for coming and watching. It was great hanging out, and swing back around for another video again sometime soon, all right? Have yourselves a great day, folks. See you later.